Good afternoon.
Hello there. How
How
are
are
you?
I'm doing well.
Let me just fix something here. Thank you so much for doing this. I saw you signed in at 9 o'clock. Are you on the East Coast?
Yeah. I was like, let me just Google real quick. Something tells me I'm too early.
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank you because you are like such a gift in that Facebook group, in our Facebook group. You're like so responsive and helpful to all the ladies there. So thank you so
Thank
much.
you. You're welcome. Thank you.
How are you feeling?
I feel good. I'm not even gonna lie. I feel really good. I
Yeah.
have my days. Some days I feel sluggish.
Mhm.
Some days I feel like I have all the energy in the world. But
Yeah.
it's definitely a different experience this time around in my second pregnancy.
Yeah. How many weeks are you now?
I am coming up on 27 weeks this Wednesday.
Wow. All right.
Yeah,
Getting close.
almost there.
And how old is you? Do you have an older daughter, son?
Yes, she is 5, turning 6
Mm.
in September.
So had you been trying for a while before you found us?
I have. I had her in 2015, and shortly after I got married in 2017, and I was having some bit of personal issues, so I kind of held off on trying.
Mhm.
And when my husband and I finally decided around 2018, like, okay, this is what we want to do, let's try again. I was having a lot of problems and I couldn't figure out why. Initially, I was on birth control after I had her. And when we decided, like, okay, this is our time, we're going to do it, I came off. And I
Mhm.
noticed an immediate change with my body. Um,
Wow.
I used to have, growing up, I used to have heavy flows. And but it was pretty regular. My cycles would come about 30, 31 days. But then when I came off the birth control, I noticed like some days, some cycles will be like 34 days, 35 days.
Mhm.
And I know we were trying, so it was kind of giving me false hope.
Yeah.
um but then as I started testing my ovulations, I wasn't getting any positive, so I started to like visit my gynecologist and and try to figure out what was going on and what could be causing all these challenges as far as why we weren't able to conceive. And then up until maybe last year summer, that's when I came across your website and I
Yes.
saw the
How
Fertile
did
Mama.
how'd you find us? Was it just like a that pop up or something on your
I think
Facebook?
so. I think it was, or maybe it was something I Googled and then it just
Mhm.
like took the search engine and started like popping you guys up. And I came across the Fertile Mama advertisement. So I
Mhm.
said, all right, you know what? I have nothing to lose. Let's try it. And I ordered the first bag. And at first, I'll be honest, I was kind of skeptic at first because I was following the page
Yeah.
a lot more months prior to purchasing the tea. And I was just reading the testimonies and your posts and stuff. And eventually, I just decided to give it a chance.
Mhm.
And I wasn't wholeheartedly into it as far as drinking the teas consistently at first. Um, so I kind of fell off for like the first month. I was on and off. And then later on, I said, you know what? Let me go to the gynecologist again, have another word with her. And she explained to me, like, okay, well, you got a lot of things going up against you. You're turning 35, I do have pre existing health conditions. I don't know if you remember. I'm a cancer survivor, so I have one lung.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Now I'm putting it together. I tried
Yeah.
not to like read anything because I wanted to just, have it all here. But yes, I totally remember now you messaging us and kind of telling us about I think you were like asking us if it was safe because of your lung cancer. Yeah, it was lung cancer,
Yeah.
right? And then you had
Yes.
one lung removed.
My entire left lung is gone.
That's amazing. Now I'm totally putting it together.
Yes. And then shortly after that surgery, I had an open appendectomy, emergency
Wow.
surgery. So it was like trauma after trauma. And
It
then I
had
had a
ruptured, right? Your appendix
no,
ruptured.
actually it didn't. They caught it
Okay.
in time, but they had to open me up because of the
Wow.
type of tumor I had in my lung. It's a very rare type that can transfer through it can also be found in your digestive tract. So
Wow.
my
Hmm.
stomach, my intestines were so inflamed, they got concerned. So they
That
had to
makes
open me
sense.
up and just make sure I'm okay. So once I recovered from that, I'm like, all right, let's go.
Mhm.
Time is ticking for me. I really felt like my back was against the wall to make sure this happened. And my gynecologist was like, yeah, you're fine. They took me to get HSD test, and they said your tubes look fine, your uterus is fine, it doesn't show any issues. I fortunately didn't, I never experienced a miscarriage or anything. I just didn't know why I could not conceive.
Yeah.
So she was promising to put me on Clomid
Mhm.
about 2 months later. And she said, but if at any point you do conceive before then, let's go. Come back on in. Let's get this process going. And then that's when I said, okay, it's time to get serious. And I
Yeah.
bought the detox tea, and I said, okay, I'm gonna flush my system out, get my
Mhm.
body cleansed, and get my mind right with everything. And then by January, because I asked her in my appointments, like, with the symptoms I'm experiencing, do you think it's possible that I have PCOS?
Mhm.
She was like, oh yeah, definitely you do. She's like, you're very mild, which is a good case, but you do show signs based on the symptoms you're explaining that you have, with the rheumatism,
Mhm.
irregular cycles, and what else I was having? Oh, the hormonal acne. That
Yeah.
was the biggest thing that I had the issue with, and it just came out of nowhere.
Well,
So
and a lot of women, the birth control can actually trigger like an onset of
exactly,
PCOS.
exactly. So I started to put two and two together, like, this is not my body that's doing this. This is a reaction of
Yeah,
something that
totally.
happened to me. And I realized it has to be the birth control. So then by January of this year, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy all the teas that I need. And when I went online, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get all. I'm just gonna get all of them. Forget the bundle. I'm getting all of them. I want to knock everything out the park, and just, I have nothing to lose. So then I bought the other three teas, the Fertile Moon,
Mhm.
the Womb Warming, and the Bitches Brew.
Yeah.
And I was taking, and immediately I noticed my face started clearing up.
Wow. On the
My
detox, or was it like after a cycle on all of them, or did you notice
no,
it
I think the
right away?
detox started
Yeah.
it. The detox started it because I do recall later in the year, last year, my skin started to clear up.
Mhm.
And then the Bitches Brew sort of like intertwined with it and regulated my cycle. So now instead of me going 34 to 35 days, now it's about 28 to 29 days.
Mhm.
And then I started to notice I was less bloated, and I just felt more on the healthier side. I could feel
Yeah.
myself less sluggish, more energetic. And because of my lung loss, physically, I can't endure any strenuous activity. So
Mhm.
for me to have this burst of energy out of nowhere, I'm like, okay, something's going good here. So my husband and I were now back on the trying train,
Yeah.
and it wasn't until maybe like February I started checking my ovulation, and I wasn't getting the positives.
Mhm.
But then I noticed, so my period was due when I'm expecting it in 29 days.
Mhm.
Like, I'm going on a week late here. And I'm like, no, don't tell me everything is happening again. And I said, okay, then one night when I thought it was really, it came, I took a I said, you know what, that's it. I got to get myself out the agony and anxiety. Just take the
Mhm.
test, and it was positive. And I was so shocked because at that point we gave up. We were just like, you know
Wow.
what, let's let it be. Let's not time anything. And
Yeah,
yeah, so it
prepare
came
for
as
the
a real
moment.
big shocker for us.
Wow. I actually get emotional as you're talking because it's like so many women, including myself. Like I went on the birth control pill just to regulate my period before I knew any of this, like when I was in early college or late high school, and
Mhm.
it sent me into PCOS. And and it's like, so I had no awareness, and I think so many of us have no awareness that that could
Mhm.
do that to our bodies, and then
Mhm.
we think something's wrong with us. It's lucky in a way that you like recognized it as like a reaction to the pill, because for so many of us we don't. And the detox is great because it really does like encourage your liver. I think the reason that we kind of get this onset of PCOS after our pill is because it stagnates our liver so much, and then we can't
Mhm.
process through all those hormones. So then the detox comes along, and it just like flushes all of
Flushes
those
everything
hormones
out.
through our liver. So how many years had you been trying until you found us? And then how many months? It seems like it was only a couple months after.
I've been trying maybe about 2.5 years,
Wow.
since 2018. Yeah, because my brother got married in 2018 and everyone was like, "Don't get pregnant," because I was a bridesmaid. It's like, "Don't do that to us."
You'll be
So as soon
pregnant.
as they got married, me and my husband was like, "Let's go." And nothing. It was like
Mhm.
it was just false hope. And then because of my regular cycles, I would get so excited every time I see my periods late and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So we've been trying for about 2.5, almost 2.5 years. And I was drinking the teas, all 5 of them consecutively, I would say about 2 months.
Wow.
2 because by the time my period came late in, March, I was, when I went to the doctor about 2 weeks later, they said I was already 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. So it just kind of got your body into a rhythm. That's
yeah.
beautiful.
I actually
Mhm.
also had purchased the, womb warming soak.
Mm.
And I had purchased it late in the
Mhm.
in the time up to when I conceived, so I was only able to use it maybe twice.
Yeah.
And I told my husband, I was like, "Make sure you come knock the door, make sure I'm okay, because I know I would get into this relaxed phase and I don't wanna fall asleep."
Fall asleep in
And
the
it was
bathroom.
I have to say, I'm not even just saying that just to say it, but my first experience using it, I felt my body just felt like I had like an outer body experience, like, I just felt like this warmth overcome me. And it just felt weird, like I was massaging my stomach, not weird in a bad way, but
Mhm.
like in a confident way, like, "This is
Mhm.
it. It's gonna happen." And I was very doubtful in the beginning, like, "Okay, I'll probably never get pregnant. These teas are not gonna help. I'm getting old." And that day, it was just like, I felt so overcome with, like, excitement, like, okay, the optimism, like, it's gonna happen. So
Mhm.
when it did happen, I was like, "Oh my god." I went into a whole mental shot. I was like, "Oh my god." So it was really a good experience to have. I really did. I felt like I almost felt it happening as it was happening, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
It totally does. I mean, I feel like that's one of the things, my goal was never just to like sell some teas. My goal is to
Mhm.
really like help women connect with their body and the different
Yeah.
phases of their body because it really is magical and like to feel confident, like you mentioned feeling confident, which I feel like is so beautiful to just like connect with like our capacity in this
Yes.
female body is like truly, I think, empowering. And it starts with that just feeling of like connection and embodiment. So it's interesting to me that you had that in the bathtub because that's like that
Yeah.
yin, that water is like
Yes.
the womb is like all just the connection to water. So I love that you said that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I
So
I even remember that, I don't remember if it was before or after that day, I had tested my ovulation again. And I started to get a little doubtful because, I think it was before that, because it was coming up negative. But then after I found out I was pregnant and I'm backtracking to that day, I'm like, "Well, it was negative because you already had conceived." So it was so funny. So my husband was like, "See, you were getting all worked up, you just have to relax and trust your body." He was the one that was more like pushing me to just, take it easy and just let the teas do what it needs to do.
I
He
love
was
that.
actually drinking his teas as well.
Oh, good.
I didn't know at the time he can also drink detox.
Uh-huh.
So he
Yeah.
was drinking the morning rooster. And at first he was kind of hesitant. And then when I had that talk, like, okay, it's both of us here, we're in this together on this journey. Then he climbed on board right away and he was very supportive and he was drinking his morning roosters.
I love that. Did you notice a difference when he was
Yes.
drinking?
Yes. Because he works, he's like a workaholic. He works 8 days a week.
Wow.
So a lot of times he'll come home and he'll just crash.
Uh-huh.
But he started to have like this burst of energy. Like he can get anything done. He can lift the house up and drop it back down. So yeah, I did notice a difference, especially in his metabolism and him being more alert and being able to function better. And I think at one point he even stopped taking his vitamins and his supplements because
Mhm.
he started to see like fast
Yeah.
results on his end naturally. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's so many like natural minerals and vitamins in the herbs. Like they really just are like I think of them as like Mama Earth like medicine for us. Like that's really
Mhm.
how I see them. So it's a lot of I think people will be concerned about like, oh, I don't know what's in the herbs, but I try to make them accessible. Like you can look every single herb up and see what it's
Mhm.
for and see what it does. And like, I think just to understand that we don't need to rely on necessarily pharmaceuticals, or sometimes we could use them in conjunction. But you mentioned twice, which is a good point, that in the beginning, when you saw it, you were skeptical when you saw our ad. And then when you were drinking them, you were a little doubtful. So now that you know, like, how this experience went for you, if you were to, like, there's a lot of women who will see the ad and just be distrustful. And I get that. Honestly, I get a million ads on like Facebook and Instagram, and I don't trust any of them. So now that you know, if you were talking to someone who is on the fence, what would you say to them?
Well, I do that now because I think one of the women who did have a success story, she tagged me to
Oh,
thank me for support.
oh,
And after that, my whole inbox blew up like a wildflower.
oh,
So all day long, night and day, no matter the hour, women are reaching out to me,
that's
especially those with,
amazing.
yeah, I've made some really good friends. Some of them of which also suffer from PCOS,
Mhm,
so they can see that I can relate to them. And the first thing I always tell them is trust your body.
mhm.
You have to trust your body. And I'll be honest with you, Ariel, I got kind of get annoyed when they're like, oh, well, should I take this supplement? Should I take this pill? And I'm like, no, like you first you trust your body and be patient with your body, especially if most of these women that have come and spoken to me in confidence, they've experienced traumatic birth challenges. Some of them have tube blockage, some of them have experienced miscarriage, ectopic, you name it. I've heard it, and my jaw is just dropping. And a lot of times they're very anxious
Mm,
to get the process going. And sometimes they even have like underlying personal issues that needs to be sorted out before they get to the baby story. So I try to like comfort them on all aspects first to help them to understand, like, you just have to let go. Like, don't force it, try to just stick to the T's, allow it to do its job. You've been through such a trauma of losing a life. I don't know how it feels, but I can only relate from my traumatic experiences that you have to allow the T's to do its work naturally. Science is always going to be there. I know you're not like against it, but I know you're not pro it. And I feel the same way. Like, I feel like science could take you but so far. You have to trust what your body can do naturally, especially if you have already experienced pregnancy, whether you've lost it or you were successful to bring it to full term. So off the back, you're able to get pregnant. You just have to be patient, and you have to love on yourself a lot more and
mhm.
take care of yourself, and allow your body to heal. A lot of them, they have experienced a loss, and like 3 months they're trying again, and then they unfortunately miscarry, and they're not sure why. And they're blaming everything and everyone, and I've seen them criticize you as well. And it's hurtful because I understand the pain that they're going through, but I don't think they understand what's happening, and they have to allow their body to condition back to what it's capable of doing before they can get back on that journey. And they have to be there and prepared, not only physically, but also mentally and spiritually.
Yes. You said two things that I really wanted, actually three. The first is that, science, it's like, I feel like science, obviously is supportive and helpful. And I feel like it can be a part of the process, but I feel like it doesn't even, like, we keep learning new things about the magic, like the body is like amazing. The capacity of
Mhm,
the body is
mhm.
like, I don't even think that science has begun to catch up with it. And like the
Exactly.
emotional connections and the intergenerational stuff, like they just found
Mhm.
that we hold trauma in our bodies from our ancestors. Like, it's all just, you know, constantly new. And I feel like to just rely on science,
Yeah,
it's not bad, but it's kind of like missing the connection to like the magic of our body, which, like, yeah,
exactly.
science can tell us some of the things that our body can do, but
Mhm.
it's not like the
And giving the
profoundness of what our body is
exactly.
capable of. So
Mhm.
that is totally true. And yes, as far as miscarriage, it's like, it's getting to the underlying thing that sometimes one of the reasons we can't get pregnant, and then we do get pregnant, but we haven't completely nourished whatever maybe was deficient or lacking or a little bit off. So to really give ourselves time. And I understand that so many women, like you even said, I'm almost 35 or I just turned 35. It's like we have this timeline that's very linear, but like we can unravel. I always think of our womb and our fertility as like a
Mhm.
spiral, like we can unravel these things. And it's not about just moving forward and getting older. It's like as we age, we can still unravel some of the
Mhm.
imbalances rather than
Mhm.
build on them. So, and
Right.
honestly, thank you. I had no idea that you were getting like personal emails. And
Yeah.
so I want to tell you something that I haven't shared yet, but we're actually working on an affiliate program, like a womb ambassador program, to have women be able to share and then recommend teas and then get, because I'm trying to think of ways to like share this more readily. Like this doesn't feel like mine, it feels like a privilege that I get to share what I've learned with women. And yes, I have my like acupuncture experience, but this real work of like womb cycling and connection, I think about like the red tent times when just regular women were just with no, professional expertise, we're like sharing about cycles and about connection and about embodiment, all things that you just spoke about. So when that's
Mhm.
ready, if you're interested, I'll share that information with you.
Sure.
I feel like if you're fielding tons of emails and questions, you might as
Yeah.
well
My
be
husband's
buying the
like,
tea.
my husband's like, he's like, I think you found your calling. Because like I said, I'm not just giving like advice on the teas. A lot of these women, my heart goes out to them. I wear all their traumas and their problems. They're not in a place where they want to be in their relationship, and they're not happy. And
Mhm.
but in the bigger picture, they want a baby. So I'm trying to help them to first backtrack to what's happening, to help them to with self-love, and you know just help them heal as a person
Mhm.
before they try to become a mom. And it does feel like very personal to me. Like I've kind of feel obligated, like to reach out every day, like, hey, how you doing? And I have no problem doing that. And even if they're receptive, that's the best part. When they're like soaking up everything I'm telling them, they'll see certain posts and they'll question it and they'll screenshot it, like, is this okay? And I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah, no, no, ditch that stuff. Don't, no, no. And I'm like, you're gonna get the same answer from me. I'm never gonna change. Stick to the teas, and that's that. And I even have family who I've recommended the teas to. And my sister-in-law, she has a genetic heart disease.
Mhm.
So she's opting for the IVF process with my brother. And it's been such a journey for her, stressfully. So, and she's been also having like symptoms of, I think, endometriosis.
Mhm.
So I recommended the teas, and she's been drinking it as well. So for me, it became a personal thing. It wasn't just like, okay, I got pregnant, great, all right. For me, it was like, no, pass this on, Chris. You have a gift here. You've learned so much about your body and what you've been through. Help
Mhm.
someone else.
This like speaks straight to my heart. Thank you. I mean, really, truly, it feels like I do believe that the more women who are connected to their fertility, like and are, I don't see fertility. I think you probably know, just based on what I say and what I share, that I don't see fertility as just getting pregnant. I see it as like our life force and our
Yes.
capacity, like you said, to really feel confident in ourselves and trust ourselves and almost like trust our purpose here, that we're doing, we're here for a reason, not just to
Yeah,
work, and be
exactly.
productive. And I feel like the more people who like really appreciate and respect women's fertility, I feel like it, I have this feeling like somehow it's got to save the world, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how, but
Mm.
so thank you. And totally, like I have high goals and expectations once COVID has passed, and maybe have like in-person fertility teacher training. And I feel like I will send you an invite when I do, because it already
Sure.
feels like you're doing that, and it's beautiful. So thank you.
Sure. I'll be more than happy to help on any level you need me. I feel like I have to spread the word. It's needed. And
Yeah.
like I said, I think having gone through so many things traumatically with my health, I feel like two things are happening. I have another chance at life to
Mhm.
do better and pay more attention to my body. I was always an on the go person, always work, 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 and I never even took the time to even like wash my face with a cleanser or a scrub. I was one of
Mhm.
those people. And when all of these things happened to me, it was like, I think it was God's way of saying, slow
Mhm.
down, listen to your heart, listen to your body. I'm trying to get your attention and you're not listening.
Mhm.
And when I started to become in tune with my body, that's when I became more, willing to learn what's happening, and a lot of these women, they trust. I'm not saying don't trust the medical professionals, but they put their whole life in their hands. And before they say, "Hey, take this prescription," they won't even ask, "Well, why?
Mhm.
What's in it? What's the side effects?" And being I've been down those roads, I know better now, and I'm trying to like educate them because it can go as far as sometimes some women, they don't even know how to calculate their cycle. They don't know how to track their cycle. And I don't frown upon them, but instead I choose to educate them, and help them to understand what's happening to their body. And like you said, what their purpose is here and to live a better, more healthier life, overall health in general.
Yeah. I feel like this was so when I was, I think 14 or 15, my mom actually took a prescription from a doctor for like weight loss, and it actually destroyed her heart. She ended up almost going into heart failure, having to have two open
Wow.
heart surgeries. And I do feel like, I know that that led me down this path of like feeling a different way, of like trying to find like, why do we get sick, or why does our body, I don't believe that our body doesn't like behave, or like, or our body is wrong. Like I always feel like our body is right. And sometimes it's just like, hey, pay attention to me, pay
Hmm.
attention.
Hmm.
And like you said, until we listen, our body will just keep not behaving in the way we
Wow.
expect it
Yeah.
to. We're
Yeah,
really,
and I even remember telling, because I have like all these different specialists. I have a pulmonologist, oncologist, and although I'm pregnant now, it's a beautiful feeling, but it's also scary because I'm high risk,
Mhm.
not only for my age and stuff, but also because of what I've been through, having one lung, I have to have an emergency, not, excuse me, not emergency, God forbid, but I have
Mhm.
to have a scheduled cesarean.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that
Yeah,
about childbirth.
my daughter was an emergency cesarean.
Mhm.
So they're looking at me like, yeah, we're not gonna try vaginally. We're gonna go the right
Mhm.
way, take the right precautions. And it's like when all of these things happened to me and I lost my lung, it woke me up. Like when my body started to condition itself back to where I needed it to be, I can honestly say now, today, 3 years survivor, my body feels 10 times stronger today than it did before I lost my lung.
Mhm.
So it's very important that you pay attention, and I wish I had paid this close attention before. I probably could have, prevented, but you know what, I can't look back in the past. I just look forward, like what I need to do better and how much time I need to invest into myself first,
Mhm.
instead of looking, outside of that, and making sure I take care of myself and to not ignore any, you know, issues that I may be experiencing just because I'm used to experiencing it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true. That's so true. I mean, even with like cramping cycles, or, when you say just because we're used to something, or it's common, or it's like normal for us, doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. And so just
Right.
looking at those things and really just trying to understand them. Like that's all of this. It's like I just want us to understand our bodies.
Yeah.
So well, Crystal, I so appreciate. Is it Crystal or Crystal? Because I noticed it's spelled with the two
Whatever
L's. But what do
tickles
you
your
say?
fancy, I'll take
How do
it.
you?
Crystal is fine. Crystal,
Okay.
whatever way you choose to pronounce it, I
I mean,
accept.
I felt like Crystal felt fancier, but I want to say it the way you say it.
Sure, Crystal is fine.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. I want to send you some goodies just as a thank you for doing
Oh,
this. And
sure.
also, you're
Thank
such a
you.
gift to so many of these women. I just
Thank
thought on the Facebook group, but now you're also having your own thing happening back there. So I love that so much. I hope that you will. I'm sure that you will keep us posted on the rest
Oh
of
yeah. Oh yes.
your journey. And I can't
Sure.
wait to see that little. Do you know? Have you?
Yes, we actually did a gender reveal last week. It's a boy.
Oh, I
So
love.
my wish came true. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely I'll keep you all updated.
Please do.
Yes.
Thank you so much for doing this, Crystal. I really
You're welcome,
appreciate you.
Ariel, anytime. And I
It's
wish
good
you
to see
all
your
the
face in
success that you
person. Yeah, thank
Yes, for
you.
sure. I'm like on the website all day long. So I'm like seeing everyone and I'm like, oh, I remember her. I remember her. And the
I
success
know.
stories are just flowing. And I'm like, whoa, it really warms my heart, especially when I see other women who've been trying longer than me with harder challenges than me and they've had this success. It's a beautiful feeling. I just feel overwhelmed with happiness when I see that. So I
I
can
mean,
only imagine what you feel.
it blows my mind. I mean, honestly, when I started, I had ordered too much and I was kind of like, oh, I think I had moved from New Jersey, and I sold my fertility wellness center. And I was kind of like, I think I'm done with fertility, but I have all this product left. So I'm just going to get rid of it and run an ad on Facebook and be done with it. And then the success stories started coming in, and women started like pouring their hearts out to me. And I was like, I can't be done with this. So I felt like it was almost like I had to like let it go completely to like let it have a life of its own and
Yeah,
let it become what it is supposed to be. That it feels like it's of me, but it doesn't feel like I'm like controlling or it
yeah,
just feels like,
definitely.
yeah. So it's,
Like it manifested itself,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. And it's more beautiful, honestly, than I could ever have
Yeah.
envisioned myself. And more
I-
women
I'm
are,
getting emotional because
I
I know
know, me
when
too.
I went
I
through.
cry like every day, girl. I'm like, oh my God.
No,
And
because
it's a
the way
weird
that
thing because it's also making me a businesswoman, which I'm like, I like what? Like,
yeah,
I just want to be, a healer in the woods. So it's making me step into it a little bit, which is a challenge, but I also feel like I'm just taking my seat in it. So yeah, I feel emotional too. So,
yeah, because I know what we've been through, to get
yeah.
to this point. So it's like, oof, I'm just happy to even be alive. So for me, it's like it's not necessarily my rainbow baby, it's my miracle baby.
Wow.
And I have you guys wholly and solely to thank. I really do.
Oh, thank you. I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
cry now. I've cried like 4 times.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much,
Crystal,
Ariel.
so much love to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're
Mwah.
welcome.
All right, bye.
Bye bye.